This is a welcome development, although it is coming very late, but nevertheless, it is still better than nothing. A U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. has just ordered the FBI, DEA, and other agencies that investigated Tinubu back in the early 90s for his drug-related offenses, which of course you know, he ended up forfeiting $460,000 to the U.S. government. The court ordered them to release all confidential information concerning the investigation of Tinubu, everything they have on him, to Alan Greenspan and David Hundeyin. Remember, back in June 2023, Alan Greenspan filed a case, a Freedom of Information request, but the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies that investigated Tinubu kept foot dragging. As a matter of fact, they ended up releasing redacted files on Tinubu, which when you see these files, it doesn't make any sense. You can't make out any information from these documents. Now that this court has ordered them to release everything under the new administration of Donald Trump, Nigerians will now see the real history of Tinubu, what he has been hiding all along. Remember, he even came to court to argue that releasing this information will harm his reputation. A little background about how Tinubu was busted by the FBI and the DEA. One of his associates, named Agbele, was busted by the DEA. One agent posed as a buyer of heroin and he sold heroin to him. He was eventually arrested, and when questioned, he agreed to play ball and cooperate with the agents. That was how they started investigating, and eventually it led to Tinubu. The agents will go on to discover that proceeds of heroin to the tune of $460,000 were being held by Tinubu in his bank accounts. That was how he ended up forfeiting $460,000 to the US government. And mind you, Tinubu's FBI, DEA, and even CIA files would have been released much earlier if not for the foot dragging of the Biden administration. But now that a new sheriff is in town, Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about anyone. They are not interested in protecting anyone. Nigerians can now see the history of Tinubu. And many might be wondering, especially non-Nigerians, how this ever happened. How in the world did this man with so much baggage ever get the topmost job in Nigeria? Well, it wasn't as if this wasn't known even before the 2023 presidential election. Many politicians are aware, but in a country where selfish interest comes first before national interest, all the power brokers in Nigeria, they're only interested in their selfish interest, what they can gain from the system. They are not interested in development. They are not interested in anything that will change this country, that will turn around the fortunes of Nigerians. So they knew all this, but they still chose to work for him, to campaign for him, to make him the president. Just like El-Rufai released in one of the interviews, he was aware, they were all aware of his baggage, what he did when he was hustling in the US, but they still chose to work for him just because of political interest. Just because politics is tribal, they decided to repay him for the support he gave them when Buhari contested in 2015 and 2019. They felt that the agreement must be rewarded so as to protect themselves in the future, so that they won't be seen as people who don't keep agreements. But in reality, if elections are free and fair in Nigeria, all agreements that politicians make can't hold any water, because ultimately it is the electorate that decides who is the president. They decide who will lead them if elections are truly free and fair. This is why they do everything. They commit all sorts of atrocities, commit all sorts of impunities to make sure they achieve their dreams. All that they agreed on, they use all sorts of methods, including abuse of powers. They do everything they can to make sure they achieve whatever they want to achieve. This is why Nigeria is not working. Nigeria is under captive by all sorts of individuals. Politics is very transactional in Nigeria. Virtually everyone has a price. Name that price and you will be bought. And you clear the way for them to achieve what they want to achieve. Is it the judiciary? They have a price, and a very low price for that matter. Anything you want them to decide, they will do it as fast as possible once you pay. Yes, it's very evident, because they would have stopped all this mess. Not just that they didn't win the election, no, the election was fraudulent. And there were many Supreme Court precedents that the court would have used to stop him. But no, they overruled themselves and in many cases rewrote the Nigerian constitution just to wave him through. So this is what Nigerians have to deal with. Another thing is that the man they did all this for is not even competent. Look at the way he is punishing everyone. He has virtually destroyed everything. Everything is worse than he met it. All metrics, economy, security, name them. So imagine they did all this for a competent person. Nigerians would have endured. They would have said, despite the fact that outsiders might be mocking us and saying, why did we choose this person that has a checkered past? Someone that forfeited drug money totaling $460,000 to the US government. Out of more than 200 million people, we couldn't find someone else to lead Nigeria except someone who forfeited drug money. Yes, Nigerians would have endured. Nigerians are nice people. They would have said, let's manage with him. After all, he's doing the job. Yes, the job is the most important thing. If you are delivering on all metrics, the economy is improving, it is growing, security challenges are going down. But no, the reverse is the case. While Tinubu keeps telling Nigerians to have patience that very soon all his so-called economic reforms will start to materialize and all the sufferings will end, he is busy traveling around the world. In fact, he has spent close to 3 months in France alone. Someone that has been in office for close to 2 years. In May 2025, it will be 2 years he came to power, but he has lived in France for 3 months. Can you imagine this? In fact, now that he is currently in France, when he arrived there, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, actually left France to Egypt. Can you imagine such a humiliation? A head of state came to another country and the head of state of that country traveled to another country. So it doesn't make any sense. Don't they have shame? Can't they respect themselves for once? If you don't respect yourself, another person will not respect you. That's how it works. This happened under Buhari's administration. At a time, King Charles had to tell him, do you have a house in London? He started denying, I don't have any house. The only house I have is the one in Kaduna, in Katsina. He didn't understand the question. He was trying to tell him, you've been coming to London every time. Every time I see you in London, it seems as if you now live in London. That was exactly the joke, but he didn't understand it. So it's time to build Nigeria so that Nigerian leaders can start vacationing in Nigeria. They can start holidaying in many holiday hotspots in Nigeria. They can start taking their medicals in Nigeria. Instead of taking all that money, thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to countries that are already well developed, we need that money more than these countries, but they keep moving the money to them. These are the same leaders that will turn around and tell Nigerians to buy made in Nigerian goods. They don't buy made in Nigerian goods. Don't use Nigerian hospitals. Everything they use, everything they engage in, everything they buy, all their shopping happen abroad. So how can Nigeria develop when Nigerian leaders don't even have confidence in Nigeria? The chief market of Nigeria keeps telling foreign investors to come and invest in Nigeria, but he doesn't have confidence in the same Nigeria. Charity should begin at home. If you don't have confidence in your own country, why would another person have more confidence in that country? It doesn't work. They also don't have confidence in their aides. All the people around them that continue to defend them every day, they don't have confidence in them because it doesn't make any sense. Why can't they equip the Asoro clinic to be like the ones abroad where they go to have their medicals? It can be done in Nigeria if they have an iota of confidence in anyone around them. But because they are not doing the right thing, because of corruption, they never trust any single individual. That's why they can't have their medicals in Nigeria. So give and take, Nigeria is on the losing side. Until we solve the leadership issues in Nigeria, until we make political offices very unattractive for questionable individuals, Nigeria will remain the same. Thanks for watching.